Okay, so today we are going to start with tuberculosis, very important topic from this respiratory system, pathology and pathogenesis of tuberculosis. The else part of tuberculosis, that is the structure and the cultural characteristics of Mycobacterium tuberculosis, that you are going to study in virology. Today we just talk on, we will discuss about the pathogenesis and pathology of tuberculosis, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Am I audible to you all now? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So pathogenicity of Mycobacterium tuberculosis and other bacteria, that is other class of Mycobacterium. It is depend primarily on the capacity of this organism to resist the natural defense mechanism of the infected host. So whenever this infection occurs, whether this disease will go towards tuberculosis, that is primary complex, or whether it get eradicated from the body, that is totally depending upon the capacity of either it is two ways action, that is the capacity of organisms to resist the defense mechanism, and second thing is the immunity of that particular person, that is resistance power of that particular person or host, infected host. These two things are very important in tuberculosis. So when this tuberculous bacillus enters in your body, it stimulates the immune system. Okay, it stimulates the immune system and get responded by two ways, depending upon whether it is childhood tuberculosis or whether it is adult tuberculosis, that is whether it infects to the childs or whether it infects to the adults. And the immediate response, all of you know, when the bacteria enters in your system, what is the immediate response of our system? That is, there is more discharge of mucin, mucous membrane, there is exudate get formed, it will get reaches up to the lung from respiratory tract, it reaches up to the lung through bronchial tree, it enters into the alveolus, whether it is pneumococci, whether it is streptococci, whether it is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the response is same. That is, when it reaches to the alveoli, we discussed it priorly in the lecture of pneumonia, lobar pneumonia. What is the pathology of lobar pneumonia? That is, there is first congestion, then red hepatization, gray hepatization, and resolution. The similar thing happens in this particular disease, that is tuberculosis. Whenever it enters in your system, there is exudation, there is cellular infiltration, and there is pneumonia. Okay, the similar thing happens with this Mycobacterium also. Now this response by this particular bacteria, there are two different ways of responses, that is childhood tuberculosis, whether it is childhood tuberculosis or whether it is adulthood tuberculosis. Okay, so response by two ways. Whenever this infects in the child, to the children's, there may be complete resolution, leaving no evidence of the disease. Okay, so it is totally get cured. There is no any evidence of the disease, any marks of this disease or any imprints of this disease in the lung. If the child is, but it is depending upon again the immunity or resistance power of that particular child. If the health of this child is not good, then the result could be there is caseation necrosis, there is calcification, there is formation of primary complex, that we call it as a Ghun's lesion. Then it may be get in the fluoride tuberculosis or miliary tuberculosis. So that is the response in the childhood tuberculosis. Then in adults, now whenever this bacterium enters into the adult person, the progression of the disease after pneumonia, it is depending upon again the resistance or general health of that particular person. So either there may be complete resolution of the lesion, but if the health is not good, then there is cavity formation. Similar thing, that is, it may get evolved into the fluoride tuberculosis, miliary tuberculosis, or spread to other organs. Okay, so this is the response of this particular bacteria, that is Mycobacterium tuberculous, whenever it infects the child or whether it infects in the adult, the response may be different. Okay, now first I will discuss with you the pathogenesis, then we will go towards the slides, different slides. Now we will discuss this pathogenesis of tuberculosis in short. Okay, this topic you are again going to learn in the when you are learning the inflammation. Now Shinde madam will going to discuss with you again this in the topic of chronic inflammation. Okay, now what is the pathogenesis of tuberculosis? So when this tuberculous bacteria enters or attack in the respiratory system, it goes towards the nose. Okay, as it is airborne infection, it goes inhaled by the from air, it enters to the nose, it reaches to the pharynx, then it goes towards trachea, then it reaches to the bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli. It settles at alveoli. Ultimately, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So it settles at alveoli. This Mycobacterium tuberculosis, it settles at alveoli. Then whenever it enters into the alveoli, as it is a foreign organism, inflammation starts in the alveoli. So what is the sign of inflammation? There is redness increases. All of you know what is the rhubarb, dollar, and the four characteristics of inflammation. So in this case, whenever this foreign organism enters, there is inflammation starts. Okay, the inflammation starts, blood supply increases. Then what are the fighters from this blood? WBCs. Okay, that fights to the bacteria. So neutrophil come out from the blood vessel, attack on the bacteria. Now this neutrophil get killed. Now there is no use of this neutrophil as this bacterium is more virulent. Then the single lymphocyte comes out, but it also get killed. Now next is 2 to 3 lymphocytes, they unite and attack on the bacteria. They also get killed. We call them as epithelioid cell. When 2 to 3 lymphocytes they unite, we call them as epithelioid cells. Then 5 to 6 lymphocytes they unite and attack on this particular bacterium. We call them as giant cell. Again, no use of this as this virulence of this organism is more. It is very strong organism. So no use of this giant cell attack. Now, no use of this direct attack or in the field whenever there is attack which is direct face-to-face attack. Now, what is the other weapon in our hand? It is missile. So missile, it acts for, it is used for indirect attack. Now this missile in our body is immune system. Okay, immune system come under the action. Now what is the characteristic of this bacterium? The bacterium shell, it has got two types of bacterial proteins. The one is hexophore and the other one is toxophore. Now this toxophore, it is responsible for the strength of the toxin itself. It remain or it strengthens the bacteria, toxophore. But hexophore, it excites the constitution to produce the antibodies. So this hexophore, whenever this hexophore gets stimulated, there is release of the antibodies, antibody formation. Now, this immune system, that is B lymphocytes, we call it as cell mediated immunity. It will come in the work, or it will come in the field. Now, this antibodies get produces, and this antigen, that is Mycobacterium tuberculous, there is complex formation, antigen antibody complex get formed, and this bacteria get sealed. Okay, so this no, up till now this immune system works, but if this immune system get fails, then the person suffers from tuberculosis. If this immune system is not works properly, then the person suffers from tuberculosis. That is, there is formation of Ghon's lesion. This Ghon's lesion, we call it as a primary complex. Ghon's lesion means primary complex. It is nothing but a small caseous center or focus more than 1 centimeter in diameter. This caseous center, it gets surrounded with the fibrous capsule. So, in the center of this caseous node or focus, there is formation of necrosis. We call it as caseous necrosis. Necrosis starts from the center of this caseous focus. Now, because of necrosis, there is cavity formation. Sometimes this cavity, it get calcified, and sometimes ossification may occur. If the resistance is not good, there may be rapid excavation and cavity formation. So, first of all, there is formation of caseous focus. Then necrosis starts from the center. Then, if the resistance is good, then this cavity formation never occurs. It gets fibrosed. But if the resistance is not good, then there is cavity formation. Sometimes this focus may get transferred into calcification or ossification, and the spread may occur primarily along with the lymphatics, so that the regional lymph nodes get enlarged. That is hilar lymph nodes. We call it as hilar lymph nodes get enlarged and become caseous. These lymph nodes also become caseous. One of these caseous node may open into the blood vessel and cause the generalized tuberculosis or miliary tuberculosis, generalized miliary tuberculosis. Okay, so in short, this is the pathogenesis of this Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Now, what is the spread of this tuberculosis? Spread of primary pulmonary tuberculosis. Now, the spread, there are various regions present in the lung itself. That is the part of bronchial, that is terminal bronchioles. There are lymph nodes present on this bronchioles, that is mediastinal lymph nodes. We call it as hilar mediastinal lymph nodes. So, spread may occur up to the lymph nodes. The second way is direct extension from the primary focus. Direct extension from the primary focus towards the other regions of the lung itself. We call it as primary pulmonary tuberculosis. Then third spread is spread to the pleura, that is tuberculous pleurisy and pleural effusion. The spread may occur towards the pleura. And next is blood-borne spread, that is towards skeletal muscles, renal system, then genitourinary system may get affected, and there is formation of tiny focuses all over the lung on the both sides. We call it as miliary tuberculosis. This we are going to discuss later on while going to explain with the help of slides. Okay, so these are the 4 type of spreads. First is to the hilar lymph nodes. The second spread is direct extension of primary focus towards the other lung lesions. We call it as a progressive pulmonary tuberculosis. Then next is towards the pleura. in the form of pleural effusion or pleurisy, tuberculous pleurisy, that is inflammation of the pleural membrane. And fourth is blood-borne spread, that is the other areas other than the lungs through blood, through circulation. It may reaches up to the spinal cord, it may reaches up to the bones, it may reaches up to the renal system or genitourinary system or gastrointestinal system, that is intestine, in the intestine. So intestinal tuberculosis, then tuberculosis of fallopian tubes, or tuberculous lesions in the spine, in the bone. So various parts may get affected. So these are the four types of spread of tuberculosis. Okay. Now, the next part is there are two patterns of pulmonary tuberculosis. Would you able to understand the topic? Yes. You can ask me questions meanwhile.
Yes,
If you want to explain anything, we can talk, we can discuss. Okay. So you can ask,
Yes,
or if you want to clarify any point, you can unmute yourself and talk. Okay. So there are two patterns of pulmonary tuberculosis: primary tuberculosis and secondary tuberculosis. Now, primary tuberculosis, this occurs in the patients, usually children, who have not been previously exposed to the TB or tuberculosis, or vaccinated against it. We call it as, please unmute yourself. Anjali, please unmute yourself. Anjali Poddar.
ma'am. Yes, sorry.
Unmute yourself. So primary, there are two patterns of pulmonary tuberculosis, primary and secondary. Primary, this occurs in the patients, usually in the children, those have not been previously exposed towards tuberculosis or not been vaccinated against it. So in this tuberculosis, there is formation of Gould's lesion or primary complex at any area in the lung, in the mid of the lung, and it is associated with lymphatic spread involving the hilar lymph nodes. These lymph nodes, they are present on the bronchial tree. So these lymph nodes get enlarges. So there is large caseous masses may form due to cell mediated immunity. We call it as cell mediated immunity. We are going to discuss this later on. So primary lesion, primary tuberculosis, in this, the persons, those who have not been previously exposed to tuberculosis, in that the hilar lesions, they get inflamed with formation of Gould's focus in the lung. Okay. So there is, in this particular tuberculosis, there is combination of Gould's focus and hilar nodes. Okay. Gould's lesion with hilar nodular enlargement. Okay. These two things, they are present in this primary tuberculosis. In the most patients, the lesion undergo fibrosis or calcification and get healed. Okay, so this is about primary tuberculosis. Secondary tuberculosis, in this, the recurrence of tuberculosis, in later life, that is previously that person get affected with this tuberculosis, either reinfection or reactivation of this tubercular bacteria, which may remain dormant in the macrophages. So it is a characteristic of this particular bacteria. It may remain dormant in the macrophages, or it may remain dormant in the caseous node, or this primary complex nodes, which get formed in the, or focuses in the form, which forms in the lung. It may remain dormant, so it get reactivated either, or there may be reinfection. In the secondary tuberculosis, the patients have immunity to tuberculosis and develop a cell mediated response leading to caseation. So there is lesion get formed in the apex of the lung. Mainly in case of the secondary tuberculosis, the lesions commonly form in the apex. In the primary tuberculosis, in the mid of the lung. Okay, in the lateral margin of the lung, in the mid of the lung, there is formation of small focus in the primary tuberculosis. Secondary tuberculosis, mainly the lesions, they are apical lesions. There is large cavitating lesions may get developed with surrounding fibrosis, and there is again, it is similar with this primary tuberculosis. Here also, the hilar lymph nodes get inflamed or involvement of hilar lymph nodes. So this is the characteristic of secondary tuberculosis, that is apical lesion. There is large cavitations which get surrounded with the fibrosis and with the hilar lymphoid involvement. So this is all about the primary information of this tuberculosis. Then we will go towards the next slide. So mode of the transmission. Now we will start with tuberculosis. Mode of the transmission. Inhalation. Okay, the first mode of transmission is inhalation. The organism present in fresh cough droplet or in dried sputum. So there is inhalation, that is through nasal route. Airborne infection, we call it as airborne infection. In that case, there is inhalation, organism present in the air entered in your respiratory system. So it we can get this organism in the fresh cough droplets or dried sputum. Okay.
Mode of transmission, inhalation, ingestion.
Inhalation. Now second is ingestion. Self-swallowing of infected sputum. We call it as self-swallowing of infected sputum or ingestion of bovine tubercle bacilli from milk of the deceased cow. Okay. So animal originated this particular infection we get from the animal, bovine tubercle bacilli, get it from the milk either get swallowed from swallowing of the infected sputum. Okay, so this tubercular bacteria get in and lodged in the tonsillar lymph nodes, and by this sputum formation it get ingested. The third mode of transmission is inoculation, that is organism into skin may rarely occur from the infected post-mortem tissue. We call it as inoculation way of transmission. Then fourth is transplacental route. Again, it is a rare mode of transmission and may cause congenital tuberculosis. Okay, so inhalation, that is from nose, ingestion, self-swallowing, inoculation, that is from the skin. It is rarely, this route is mode of transmission is very rare. And for this transplacental route, again it is a rare mode of transmission and which may cause the congenital tuberculosis. Now next mode of transmission is natural passages, that is from the lung lesions. We call it as tuberculous pleurisy. Okay, from the lung lesion, lung towards the other side, tuberculous pleurisy. Then transbronchial spread into adjacent lung segment through bronchus from one lung to other. Still students are coming. Why you are so late? Okay, so from the lung lesion itself, that is we call it as tuberculous pleurisy, Then second, transbronchial spread into adjacent lung segments. Then tuberculous salpingitis into peritoneal cavity. We call it as tuberculous peritonitis. Tuberculous salpingitis into peritoneal cavity. The next is infected sputum into larynx. We call it as tuberculous laryngitis. The next is swallowing of infected sputum, that is it enters into the alimentary canal, and there is ileocecal tuberculosis. The next is renal lesions into ureter and down to trigon of the bladder. So these are the natural passages of spread of this particular tuberculosis. So these are the natural passages by which this tubercular bacteria can spread from one region to other. Now just we discussed about this pathogenesis. There are two types of this pathogenesis. The first is cell mediated, it is associated with cell mediated immunity, host against the organism, that is the macrophages. The first is macrophages. These macrophages, they are present in the alveoli, then in the blood, monocytes and dendritic cells. So macrophages by the way of macrophages, and second is T lymphocytes, that is mainly CD4 and CD8. CD4 and CD8. So pathogenesis, it is described by two ways, that is it is described in the cell mediated immunity. It is by the host against the organism, that is how this host can fight towards the organism and eradicate this organism by two ways. We call it a cell mediated immunity. There are two things, important part of the cell mediated immunity. One is macrophages, and other is lymphocytes, T lymphocytes. So these are meant for the direct attack. The macrophages, alveolar macrophages, or macrophages of blood monocytes or dendritic cells, and T lymphocytes. Now, what is the role of macrophages? Now, this activating cell mediated immune response, this macrophages that activates the cell mediated immune response. So what happens by this stimulation? Now macrophages stimulates this CD4 T lymphocytes, CD4 plus T lymphocytes, to release various lymphokines and activate the macrophages. So these macrophages, they stimulate. What are the macrophages? Either they are alveolar macrophages or macrophages from the blood monocytes or dendritic macrophages. They stimulate the release of T lymphocytes, CD4 T lymphocytes. See, students, just in 5 minutes, I am going to close this meeting. Again, within 5 minutes, I am again rejoining the meeting by sending you another meeting ID. Okay, so as there is time limit, it is 40 minutes. I want to extend this lecture more 15 minutes. So please rejoin this meeting again. Okay, when I am when this meeting get closed. Okay.
Ma'am, instead of the picture you are sending, you can send the link. It is much easier to join the meeting.
Link.
You just have to click that copy link button, no ma'am. So it will be easier for us to join the meeting.
Okay, I will see how I can send this link. Okay. So
yes,
within 10 minutes, there is 10 minutes is there, because I have to record this lecture and then again I am going to send you another ID. Okay, so 10 minutes require for this. Okay, so 10-minute break and then I am going to join the other meeting. Okay. Okay. So
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
So within 5 minutes, I am going to close this meeting. So
Yes,
this macrophages, they activate or they stimulates the formation or release of T lymphocytes to release various lymphokines and activate the macrophages. These activated macrophages are capable of killing and phagocyting tubercular bacteria. So macrophages, by this releasing system, we called it as lymphokines, and the activated macrophages, they are capable of killing and phagocytosing the tubercle bacilli. These macrophages, they aggregate in the center of the lesion that undergoes necrosis, which resembles cheese-like. We call it as caseous necrosis. So what happens at the site of this organism when it gets settles in the alveoli? So what is the response? There is a response, that is release of macrophages. These macrophages that activates the release of T lymphocytes. These T lymphocytes, by releasing lymphokines, they uh, activate the macrophages, and they capable and become and made them capable for killing the tubercular bacilli. Okay, so this macrophage, they aggregate at the center of that caseous lesion, or we call it as primary complex or Ghon's lesion, and which undergoes necrosis, which resembles like cheese, that is caseous necrosis. At the center of this focus, there is necrosis starts. Okay, now the second thing that happens is tissue damaging response. This response is due to delayed type of hypersensitivity towards various mycobacterium antigens. So this is tissue damaging response. Unactivated, which remains unactivated, that unactivated macrophages that contain multiplying mycobacteria cause caseous necrosis occurring due to lipids and the lipoproteins present in the cell wall or the cytoplasm of tubercle bacilli. We discussed priorly, that is, there are two type of proteins present on the tubercular bacteria, that is toxophore and hexophore. Okay, so toxophore, it is to strengthen that bacteria itself, and hexophore, it stimulates the formation of antibodies. Okay, so these unactivated macrophages that contain the multiplying mycobacteria, so they contain itself, inside them there is mycobacteria which causes caseous necrosis occurring due to the lipids and lipoproteins present in the cell wall or the cytoplasm of that tubercular bacteria itself. So caseous necrosis starts by this particular proteins present on the this tubercular bacilla, which is lipid in the form of lipid, or it is made up of lipoproteins. Okay, so by action of this mycobacterium itself, there is this necrosis get starts. So we call it as tissue damaging response of this particular bacterium, rather than not bacterium, it is tissue damaging response. It is due to that macrophages, which are unactivated macrophages, which contain that tubercular bacteria, which possesses that lipids or the lipoprotein coverings, which stimulates the excavation or the necrosis of this lesion. Now, morphologic evaluation of tubercle we will see in the next lecture. Just in 5-10 minutes, I'm going to send you the next link. Then we will go towards the next part of this lecture. Stop recording.